The sirens tore through the dawn. 2 paramedics ran tiny stretchers into the mansion. On the 3rd floor, 2 babies were convulsing. The heart monitors beeped non-stop. The nurse screamed for adrenaline. In the hallway, a man in a wrinkled suit collapsed against the wall, destroyed. Daniel Volkman had everything. Companies in 5 countries. An incalculable fortune. A 20-bedroom mansion. But none of that mattered now. His twin sons, Lucas and Theo, were dying. And no one knew why. 6 months earlier, everything had seemed perfect. Daniel was expecting the twins with his wife, Isabella. They decorated the nursery together. Bought little clothes. Chose names. But Isabella did not survive childbirth. A sudden hemorrhage took her life in minutes. Daniel was left alone with 2 premature babies and a void impossible to fill. The twins were born fragile. They spent weeks in the ICU. When they finally came home, the nightmare began. Lucas and Theo cried non-stop. Day and night. For no apparent reason. It wasn't hunger. It wasn't a dirty diaper. It wasn't colic. It was something deeper, something no doctor could explain. Daniel hired the best private pediatrician in the city, Dr. Veronica Lemos. She had a PhD in pediatric neurology, her own clinic, an impeccable resume. Veronica prescribed medications, changed formulas, ordered extremely expensive tests. Nothing worked. The babies kept crying, losing weight, wasting away. The mansion turned into a hospital. Nurses on 6-hour shifts. Medical equipment in every room. Daniel barely slept. He spent entire nights holding his sons, silently begging them to stop suffering. He felt he was failing as a father. That he couldn't protect the only pieces of Isabella he had left. That was when Marta Oliveira appeared. She was 32 years old, hair pulled into a tight bun, eyes that avoided direct contact. Marta was autistic. She spoke little. She moved her hands rhythmically when she got anxious. But she had impeccable references as a house cleaner. 15 years of experience. Satisfied families. Perfect punctuality. The mansion's housekeeper, Dona Gloria, hesitated before hiring her. Marta was different. She didn't smile during interviews. She answered questions too literally. But the house urgently needed someone, and Marta accepted the salary without negotiating. On her first day of work, Marta was cleaning the 3rd-floor hallway when she heard the crying. It wasn't just any sound. It was pure despair. She stopped scrubbing the floor. Her hands began to tremble. Something inside her recognized that suffering. Marta had lost a baby years earlier. A 6-month pregnancy. The heart suddenly stopped beating. The doctors said these things happen. But for Marta, the world was never the same again. She carried that pain like an invisible scar. And now, hearing Lucas and Theo cry, that wound opened once more. For weeks, Marta cleaned the mansion in silence. She observed everything. The medications Dr. Veronica brought. The doses the nurse administered. The times when the babies got worse. She didn't talk about it. It wasn't her place to question doctors. But something didn't make sense. The twins always got worse after Veronica's visits. Daniel barely noticed Marta. To him, she was just another employee. Someone who cleaned and disappeared. He was too busy trying to save his sons. Too busy sinking into guilt and despair. But Gloria noticed something strange. Marta always stopped near the baby's room. She stood still, listening. She rocked her hands in a specific way. It wasn't ordinary curiosity. It looked like genuine concern. And that bothered Gloria. A cleaner shouldn't be so involved. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a Friday afternoon. Daniel had traveled to handle a business emergency. Veronica had just left after yet another consultation. The babies had been crying for 4 straight hours. The nurse was exhausted, on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Marta walked past the room carrying cleaning supplies. She heard the crying. She stopped. Something pulled her inside. She entered slowly, looking at the cribs. Lucas and Theo writhed, tiny, red from crying so much. Their little faces showed an anguish no baby should ever know. The nurse was in the bathroom, washing her face. Marta approached. Her hands trembled. She didn't plan what she did next. It was pure instinct. Muscle memory from a motherhood that never happened. Marta picked Lucas up. And the impossible happened. The crying stopped. Instantly. As if someone had flipped a switch. Lucas relaxed in Marta's arms. His breathing calmed. His little eyes finally closed. She then picked up Theo with her other arm. The same effect. Complete silence. Absolute peace. For the first time in 6 months, the twins slept deeply. And Marta stood there, frozen, holding those 2 babies as if they were the most precious thing in the universe. The nurse came out of the bathroom and stopped, shocked. Gloria appeared at the doorway and widened her eyes. No one could believe what they were seeing. But before either of them could say anything, a sharp voice echoed down the hallway. "What do you think you're doing?" Dr. Veronica Lemos stood at the entrance of the room. Her impeccably made-up face showed a disturbing coldness. She looked at Marta as if she had just witnessed a crime. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment saying what you thought and which city or country you're watching from. The story is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Veronica entered the room with calculated steps. Her heels struck the marble like hammer blows. She didn't take her eyes off Marta, who remained still, holding the sleeping babies. The nurse shrank into a corner. Gloria was speechless. "I asked a question." Veronica's voice was pure ice. "Who authorized you to touch the patients?" Marta couldn't respond. Words got stuck in her throat under pressure. She just looked at the babies, her arms contracting protectively around them. Lucas and Theo slept deeply, breathing calmly, their faces finally relaxed. Veronica took 2 more steps forward. Her green eyes analyzed every detail of the scene. "You have no medical training. No authorization. No right." She extended her arms. "Return the children immediately." Gloria finally reacted. "Doctor, I don't know how, but they stopped crying. Look at them. They're sleeping for the first time in." "Coincidence?" Veronica cut her off sharply. "Or the effect of the medication I administered an hour ago." She turned to Marta. "Now." Marta obeyed slowly. She placed Lucas and Theo back in their cribs with extreme care. As soon as her arms moved away, the babies stirred. They began to whimper. Within seconds, the crying returned, shrill and desperate. As if the relief had never existed. Veronica smiled. A cold, triumphant smile. "See? Predictable regression. Premature babies have chaotic sleep patterns." She turned to Gloria. "Make sure this doesn't happen again. Cleaners do not enter this floor." Marta left the room with her head down. Her hands shook violently. She descended the stairs when she heard Gloria speaking on the phone, warning Daniel about the incident. The word inappropriate echoed down the hallway. Marta quickened her pace, locked herself in the service bathroom, and cried silently. That night, Daniel returned furious. Gloria had exaggerated in her report, saying Marta had broken into the room and taken the babies without permission. Daniel called an immediate meeting. Marta, Gloria, Veronica, and the nurse, all in the living room. "Explain what happened." Daniel crossed his arms, looking directly at Marta. She took a deep breath. Forced the words out. "I heard them crying. I went in. Picked them up. They stopped crying. You do not have authorization to touch my children." "I know. Sorry. It was instinct." Veronica intervened, her voice calm and professional. "Daniel, I understand your concern. But we need to be clear, improper handling of premature babies can cause irreversible damage. Gastroesophageal reflux, cervical misalignment, even sudden infant death syndrome." Daniel went pale. "My children were at risk." "In this specific case, fortunately not. But the protocol exists for a reason." Veronica placed her hand on his shoulder. "I know you're exhausted. I know you want answers. But we cannot allow deviations. We are following strict treatment." Marta wanted to shout that the babies had improved. That, for the first time, they truly slept. But the words wouldn't come out. Her mind froze under stress. She just shook her head and left the room. Gloria followed her to the kitchen. "You went too far, Marta. You almost lost your job. They stopped crying. Marta finally managed to say, "Why does no one see this? I see a cleaner wanting to be a hero." Gloria crossed her arms. "Stay in your place. Clean and leave. Understand?" Marta nodded. But something burned inside her. A certainty she couldn't explain, but felt with every fiber of her being. Those babies needed her. And the doctor was hiding something. In the following weeks, Veronica increased the frequency of her visits. She came 3 times a week, always with briefcases full of medications. Administered injections. Adjusted doses. The babies continued to worsen. They lost more weight. Developed skin rashes. Vomited constantly. Daniel was desperate. He consulted other specialists via video call. All said the same thing: trust the treatment. Premature babies are unpredictable. Be patient. But Marta observed everything. She cleaned the makeshift office where Veronica kept her equipment. Saw bottles of medication with names she later researched at the public library. Stimulants. Amphetamines disguised as vitamin supplements. Medications that made no sense for babies. She couldn't directly accuse anyone. Who would believe an autistic cleaner against a renowned doctor? She needed proof. She needed time. She needed a plan. One night, Marta stayed late. Waited for everyone to sleep. Silently went up to the 3rd floor. Entered the twins' room. The night nurse dozed in a chair. Marta carefully picked up Lucas. Then Theo. Sat in the corner chair and rocked them gently. The babies stopped crying within seconds. Opened their little eyes and looked at her. Not with fear. With recognition. As if they knew she was safe. Marta hummed softly, a melody her mother had sung when she was a child. Lucas yawned. Theo gripped her finger with surprising strength. There, in that rare and precious silence, Marta made a decision. No matter the risk. No matter if they fired her, imprisoned her, or destroyed her life. She would protect those babies. Discover what Veronica was doing. And prove the truth, no matter the cost. But she didn't know that Veronica had already noticed her constant presence. Didn't know that hidden cameras had been installed. Didn't know that the trap was already being set. And soon, she would be accused of the most horrifying crime anyone could commit. Marta began to write everything down in an old notebook she kept in her bag. The times of Veronica's visits. The names of the medications she saw in the bottles. Moments when the babies worsened. Patterns started to emerge. The twins always convulsed or vomited in the hours following the doctor's injections. Always. She needed someone who understood medicine. Someone who could confirm her suspicions. During lunch break, Marta went to the neighborhood pharmacy. She discreetly showed the list of medications she had copied to the pharmacist, an elderly man with white hair named Eduardo. "Where did you get these names?" Eduardo frowned as he read. "A friend asked me to research them." Marta avoided eye contact. Lying made her uncomfortable, but it was necessary. Eduardo adjusted his glasses. "This doesn't make sense. Methylphenidate? Dextroamphetamine? They are central nervous system stimulants. Used for attention deficit in older children. Never in babies. Never. And if someone gave this to a baby? It would be a disaster. Seizures, cardiac arrhythmia, permanent neurological damage." He handed the paper back. "I hope it's just academic curiosity." Marta left the pharmacy with her heart racing. She was right. Veronica was poisoning Lucas and Theo. But why? What did she gain by keeping 2 babies sick? The answer came 3 days later. Marta was cleaning Daniel's office when she heard voices in the hallway. She hid behind the bookshelf. Veronica and Daniel entered, talking. "You need to rest, Daniel. You're destroying yourself." Veronica's voice was soft, almost intimate. "How can I rest? My children are dying." "They're not. I'm taking care of them. Trust me." Veronica touched his face. "Isabella trusted me. Remember." Marta held her breath. There was something strange about that touch. Possessive. Obsessive. "I know. You were her doctor during the pregnancy. You were the last person she saw before, Daniel choked. And I promised her I would take care of you. The babies. Everything. Veronica moved closer. You don't have to go through this alone. Daniel stepped back slightly. Veronica, I appreciate everything you're doing, but nothing. Isabella is gone. The babies need stability. They need a mother figure. She held his hands. They need me. You need me. Marta finally understood. Veronica wasn't trying to heal the babies. She was keeping them sick to make herself indispensable. To create dependence. To replace Isabella and win over Daniel. It was a sick, calculated, monstrous plan. Daniel pulled away. You are the doctor of my children. Let's keep things professional. Veronica's face hardened for a second. Then she returned to her mask of concern. Of course. Professionalism above all. She grabbed her bag. I need to go. I'll return tomorrow for more tests. When they left, Marta waited 10 minutes before moving. Her hands shook so violently that she dropped cleaning supplies. She needed to tell Daniel. She needed to show him what she had discovered. But would he believe her? An autistic cleaner accusing a respected doctor of slow murder? She needed concrete proof. That night, Marta returned to the mansion after work. She entered through the back door that Gloria always forgot to lock. She climbed to Veronica's makeshift office on the second floor. Used a small flashlight so as not to turn on the lights. She opened drawers slowly. Searched among papers and equipment. Found a locked file. Forced the lock with a hairpin, a technique she had learned from accidentally locking her own things. Inside, folders organized with surgical precision. Fake medical records. Fraudulent prescriptions. Invented medical reports. And letters. Dozens of handwritten letters, never sent, all addressed to Daniel. Obsessive love declarations. Detailed plans of how she would become the new wife. How she would raise the twins as her own. How she would erase Isabella's memory. Marta photographed everything with her old phone. Hands trembling, heart racing. She was about to leave when she heard footsteps in the hallway. She turned off the flashlight. Held her breath. The door opened. Veronica turned on the light and froze. Marta was paralyzed. There was no escape. Veronica blocked the only door. Going through my things? Veronica closed the door behind her. I knew you were trouble from day one. I noticed how you looked at the babies. As if you had some right over them. You're poisoning them. Marta forced the words out. I know. I have proof. Veronica laughed. A cold, humorless sound. Proof? You, a cleaner with mental problems, against me, a doctor with 15 years of impeccable career. She took her phone out of her pocket. Who do you think will believe you? The truth. The truth is whatever I say it is. Veronica dialed a number. Daniel? Sorry to call so late. I need you to come immediately. I caught the cleaner stealing controlled medications from the office. Yes, the same one who took the babies without authorization. I think we finally discovered why your children aren't getting better. Marta felt the floor disappear beneath her feet. Veronica was turning the situation around. Turning the victim into the villain. And there was nothing she could do to stop it. Within 15 minutes, the mansion was full of people. Daniel, Gloria, 2 security guards, and 2 police officers that Veronica had called. Marta was searched. They found her phone with the photos. Veronica explained that they were evidence of invasion of privacy, that Marta was obsessed with the babies, and that she probably had dangerous intentions. Daniel looked at Marta with a mixture of anger and disappointment. Why did you do this? She's lying. She's poisoning Lucas and Theo. I have proof. Proof stolen during trespassing. A police officer interrupted. Ma'am, you'll need to come with us. Marta was handcuffed. As they led her away, she looked back one last time. She saw Veronica hugging Daniel, consoling him. Saw the discreet smile at the corner of the doctor's mouth. A smile of victory. The police station smelled of stale coffee and disinfectant. Marta was photographed, fingerprinted, and locked in a cell with 3 other women. She sat in a corner, hugging her knees and rocking back and forth. The repetitive motion calmed her when the world became too much. But this time, it wasn't working. Her public defender was a tired man named Gustavo. He read the case file and sighed. Trespassing, theft of controlled medications, possible poisoning of minors. They're requesting pretrial detention. I didn't do anything. It was her. The doctor. Do you have proof? I did. On my phone. But she said it was illegal. Gustavo closed the folder. Without admissible evidence, your word against a respected doctor's doesn't look good. Marta spent 5 days in jail. No news. No visitors. Her mother called once, crying, asking how she could do such a thing. Marta hung up. She didn't have the strength to explain. Meanwhile, at the mansion, the twins' condition worsened drastically. Without Marta nearby, without that strange presence that calmed them, Lucas and Theo collapsed completely. They stopped eating. Had simultaneous seizures. They had to be rushed to the hospital. Daniel barely left the hospital. He stayed between the 2 incubators, holding his children's tiny hands, praying to any god who might be listening. Veronica went every day, bringing new medications, adjusting treatments. But nothing worked. The babies were dying. It was Gloria who began to suspect. She was cleaning the twins' room at the mansion when she found a medicine bottle behind the crib. Methylphenidate. A strange name. She researched it on her phone and froze at the results. Stimulant. Contraindicated for babies. Side effects: seizures, vomiting, cardiac arrhythmia. Gloria grabbed the bottle and went straight to the hospital. She found Daniel in the corridor, devastated. "Sir, you need to see this." He barely looked. "Not now, Gloria. It's about the medications Dr. Veronica gives the boys." Daniel took the bottle. "Read the label. What is this?" "Stimulant. Forbidden for babies. Found hidden in their room." Something changed in Daniel's face. A spark of doubt. He entered the neonatal ICU where Veronica was examining the babies. "I need to speak with you. Now." They went to a private room. Daniel threw the bottle on the table. "Explain this." Veronica didn't even blink. "Part of the experimental treatment. Approved by the ethics committee." "Lies. I called 3 pharmacists. This is never used on babies." "Daniel, you're under extreme stress. You're not thinking clearly. I want all medical records. All prescriptions. Now." Veronica remained calm. "Of course. They're in my office. I can fetch them tomorrow." "No. Now. Or I call security." Something broke in Veronica's mask. For a second, Daniel saw pure rage. But she composed herself. "All right. We'll go together." On the way to the mansion, Daniel called his private lawyer, Dr. Enrique. "I need you to investigate Dr. Veronica Lemos. Full history. And I want the cleaner released immediately." "The one who was arrested?" "I think I arrested the wrong person." At the mansion, when Veronica opened the file, it was empty. She had removed everything after framing Marta. But she forgot one detail. The computer. Daniel turned on her laptop without permission. Veronica tried to stop him, but 2 security guards held her back. Deleted files. Clean history. But Daniel hired a forensic technician who recovered the data in hours. Emails to suppliers buying irregular medications. Spreadsheets calculating doses of poison. Drafts of obsessive letters to Daniel. Photos of Isabella with her face digitally scratched out. Daniel read everything and felt nauseous. "You killed my wife." Veronica finally collapsed. Fell to her knees, tears streaming. "No. It was a complication from childbirth. But then I realized you were free. That we could be together. But the babies consumed you. I needed you to need me. I needed to be indispensable. You poisoned my children." Daniel could barely speak. "Why?" "Because I love you." Veronica screamed. "I've always loved you. Ever since Isabella met you. It should have been me. It always should have been me." The police arrived within minutes. They took Veronica away in handcuffs, screaming that she did it all for love, that Daniel would understand, that they were destined to be together. She went straight to the forensic psychiatric hospital. Examination confirmed, obsessive disorder, Munchausen syndrome by proxy, psychopathy. Daniel rushed to the police station. He found Marta being released, holding her few belongings in a plastic bag. She looked at him fearfully. "I'm sorry." Daniel fell to his knees in front of her. "I'm sorry for not believing. For not seeing. For almost letting you pay for crimes you didn't commit." Marta remained still. She didn't know how to react. Hugs made her uncomfortable. But something in that man's despair touched her deeply. "My children are dying." Daniel cried. "Hospitalized. Convulsing. The doctors don't know how to reverse the poisoning. And they only come with you. Please. I know I have no right to ask, but please, help my children." Marta looked at the broken father. Thought of Lucas and Theo. Of the little faces that calmed in her arms. And she nodded. The hospital was silent when Marta entered the neonatal ICU. Nurses looked surprised, but Daniel nodded, giving permission. She washed her hands 3 times, the way she needed to, and approached the incubators. Lucas and Theo were connected to dozens of wires. Monitors beeped irregularly. Their tiny bodies trembled even while sleeping. Marta felt a physical pain in her chest. How could anyone harm such defenseless creatures? She asked permission with her eyes. The doctor hesitated, but Daniel insisted. "Please. Let her try." Marta opened the first incubator. She picked up Lucas with extreme care, supporting his head, protecting the tubes. The baby opened his eyes and looked at her. Instant recognition. The heart monitor began to stabilize. She did the same with Theo, holding both against her chest. And it happened again. The babies relaxed completely. Their breathing synchronized. The tremors stopped. For the first time in days, they seemed at peace. The nurses were stunned. The doctor took notes, incredulous. "How do you do that?" Daniel whispered. Marta thought before answering. "I don't know. I think they feel that I'm present. Really present. No distraction. No rush. Just here." For 3 weeks, Marta went to the hospital every day. She spent hours holding the twins. Humming wordless melodies. Making eye contact when they opened their eyes. The doctors performed full examinations. Removed toxins from their system. Adjusted nutrition. But everyone agreed, Marta's presence was essential for their recovery. Lucas and Theo went home in early autumn. Daniel converted one of the guest rooms into a suite for Marta. Not as an employee. As part of the family. She had difficulty accepting it at first. She didn't feel deserving. But Daniel insisted. "You saved my children. More than that. You saw them when no one else did. Believed when everyone doubted. You deserve everything I can offer." Marta established routines. Woke at 6. Bathed the babies. Sang while changing diapers. Read stories even knowing they didn't understand the words. But they understood the tone. The presence. The love she poured into every gesture. Gloria apologized, crying. "I should have believed you. I should have seen. You saw in the end. That's what mattered." Daniel changed too. He stopped working 16-hour days. Began being more present. Played on the floor with the twins. Learned to change diapers. Prepare bottles. Recognize when Lucas preferred silence and when Theo needed movement. And he observed Marta. How she communicated without words. How she understood needs before they were expressed. How she turned simple moments into sacred memories. She taught Daniel that being present doesn't mean perfection. It means genuine attention. 6 months after the nightmare, Lucas and Theo were healthy, laughing, curious babies. Crawling around the house. Babbling sounds almost like words. And whenever they saw Marta, they reached out, asking to be held. Veronica was sentenced to 15 years in prison. During the trial, psychiatric evaluation revealed a history of manipulation in previous relationships. Other patients came forward with similar complaints. Her medical license was permanently revoked. Daniel created a foundation in Isabella's name. focused on protecting children from medical abuse, training professionals to identify Munchausen syndrome by proxy, giving a voice to those normally unheard. Marta became a spokesperson, sharing her story at conferences, helping other families. She discovered that her autistic condition, which many saw as a limitation, was in fact her greatest strength. Her hypersensitivity picked up signals others ignored. Her difficulty with lies made her unable to accept false explanations. Her need for patterns revealed fatal inconsistencies. One afternoon, Daniel found Marta in the garden, watching Lucas and Theo play in the grass. He sat beside her. "Do you know what Isabella told me shortly before she died?" He looked at the sky. "She said our children would be cared for. That someone special would protect them. I thought she was delirious from the anesthesia. But I think she knew. Somehow she knew you would come." Marta didn't respond. She just smiled slightly, watching Theo pull up grass and Lucas try to put it in his mouth. Perfect imperfection. Organized chaos. Life happening in all its beautiful mess. That night, as she put the twins to sleep, Marta hummed the melody her mother used to sing. Lucas yawned. Theo grasped her finger. And she realized she had found what she lost years ago. Not replacement, but renewal. A second chance to mother. To love. To matter. "Thank you," she whispered to the sleeping babies. "For letting me take care of you. For giving me back a piece of myself I thought I had lost forever." From the hallway, Daniel watched the scene. And for the first time since Isabella passed, he felt that his family was complete. Marta's story proved something fundamental. Heroes don't always come wrapped in diplomas and status. Sometimes, they come in silence, with calloused hands and enormous hearts. Sometimes, the person everyone ignores is exactly who should be heard. And true love doesn't need perfect words. It only needs genuine presence. Eye contact. Being completely there. No distractions. No masks. Just human, imperfect, and fully present. If you made it this far, thank you so much for experiencing this story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment about what you thought and which city or country you're watching from. Your presence here means a lot. Until